Hello there, friends. I'm bringing to you our first term update for the year 2022. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Christine. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, and I share homeschool content here on this channel. So if you're interested in any of that, then please go ahead and subscribe. Today, I'm sharing with you our term 1 homeschool update. You guys seem to really enjoy these videos when I do them, and I enjoy sharing with you. It's kind of like a nice little chit chat, catch up. And we do 6 terms in a year, so I know it's not like conventional to anybody's homeschool year really, but I do six-week terms with a 1-week break in between each one, and then a big break at the end of the year. My kids, for reference, are now 7, but during that term I had a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so I've shared all the curriculum we're using this year in previous videos. I will try and link to them here for you. You can go check those out. As far as grade levels go, I would say my son, who is now 7, kind of sits in between grade levels. He's kind of doing some grade 1 stuff and some grade 2 stuff, so I just kind of tailor it to wherever he's at. And my 5-year-old is in like typical kindergarten stuff, and my 3-year-old I'm not doing anything formal with. She's literally just like coloring in and stuff while we're doing our school. So for this term, I didn't make any like major curriculum changes or anything like that. Everything that I picked has worked really well. I think there's only one thing that I actually took out of my daughter's school and have replaced with something else, but that was kind of like a happy surprise. It wasn't something I planned really. So let's chat about how things have gone. And I would say that the thing that has changed a little bit this term and this year is our extracurriculars. We've got a couple of things that are happening now that are really exciting and fun, and that we did not do last year. So I'm going to chat about that. If you hear screaming and kids playing, that's because my children live here too. But also they're outside playing with the neighbor's kid at the moment, and so I'm kind of like multitasking. I'm watching them out the window and doing this and listening and, all the mum stuff. So let's chat. My eldest child, I don't think we changed a single thing as far as his curriculum goes. He's using the Good and the Beautiful, language art, and math this year, and both of those are going really well. His reading is starting to really take off this year. He's becoming a lot more fluent. It's just a lot less of a struggle than it has been previously, and that's probably got a lot to do with age and maturity and just, the brain connecting all the dots. And so that has been a blessing. We've really enjoyed the math. He's doing the Good and the Beautiful handwriting as well, and he's doing well with that. And then the spelling curriculum I picked from this year is from the Moffat girls on Teachers Pay Teachers, and that has also been going very well. And they're got like a spelling list you do every week. It's got different activities you do with that spelling list. And then at the end of the week, I quiz him on those spelling words by just having him orally narrate to me the spelling of those words. And that has worked very well for us for the first 6 weeks of this year. And so we're going to continue with all of that stuff. I'm happy with it. I think I'm just sort of trusting the process and seeing how he does with it. He's doing a little bit more writing than he has done previously, and he is just doing very well. He's taking, I think what's really telling with your children when you're homeschooling with them is not necessarily what they're doing during school time, but what they do outside of that like formal setting. And I've noticed that my son's doing a lot more self-directed like writing. He's just will make cards for people. I hear him reading things and sounding things out on his own, and to me that's really encouraging, because that is what I ultimately want for my kids, is for them to be able to do things independently, and to be self-driven and self-motivated. And so that's encouraging to me. So he's done really, really well this term. My daughter, who is entering kindergarten, is she is learning how to read this year. She knows most of her letter sounds. She certainly hasn't mastered them, but I didn't feel like that was completely necessary for her to start learning how to read. So we're using All About Reading for our reading curriculum. I have done quite a few videos on that curriculum before, which I can try and link for you here. We really, really enjoy it. It's a very solid phonics-based curriculum. I think what has been very interesting for me this year is this is my second child now that I'm teaching to read, and the differences between the two of them and how they learn. One of my children definitely has dyslexic tendencies. I don't think it's severe dyslexia, and he may very well grow out of some of those things. They could just be age, related. I'm not saying that there's any kind of formal diagnosis, because there certainly isn't. But definitely has some of those tendencies, whereas my other child does not. And so seeing the differences in them is quite interesting, but also I appreciate the fact that the reading curriculum is working for both of them, like despite that. And that's because it is an Orton Gillingham curriculum. It uses that method, and which is perfect for kids who do have things like dyslexia. And so that's been very interesting. Annie's doing very, very well with her reading, and it's very cute to hear her like trying to sound things out and write words. And I actually laughed this weekend. It was also my mom's birthday recently. She and my son Jack are very close as far as their birthdays. They're only a day apart. And they had made cards for my mom, and they call her Nana. That is what we refer to her as. And I laughed because both of them had spelled Nana, Nanu, which is phonetically, it makes sense because U says ah. And so I laughed about that and thought it was really cute. And they had both done that on their own. So, yeah, I did. Jack was like, but why? So we had a bit of a discussion about why it's Nana, and how the English language doesn't necessarily it's not black and white, and it does not make very good sense some of the time. So, yeah, it was cute to see that. So exciting to see them both progressing there. And she's using the Good and the Beautiful math, and I love it. I'm actually planning on doing a review video of their math K level. I love it. I loved their old version, but really the new, it's just so cute and sweet, and the lessons are fast and easy. Which I'll get onto this a little bit later. My husband was home for some of the time this term, and it was a time where I was unable to teach the kids, and he could just pick up the book and do it with her without having to do any prior reading or anything. He could just pick it up, do the lesson with her, and I really appreciated that. So it's an excellent program as far as my opinion goes. So she's done very well with that. Now, the one change I did make with her is she was using the Good and the Beautiful Level K primer as just sort of like a supplement. We actually stopped using that. I found that it was kind of repetitive as far as, not the curriculum itself, but just we were already going over that stuff, and it just felt like a bit of a killjoy because we were doing it too much. And so, yeah, we paused that, or put it aside. I don't think we're going to pick it up again. And instead, she's doing Ready to Read from Gather Round, which I already had that planned out, and I did talk about that in her curriculum video. I just wasn't sure when I was going to pull it out. And so I have pulled it out now, and she's really enjoying that. And we just skipped the math portions because, we're already doing all that. But on the days we're not doing all about reading, we're doing that, and it just kind of, they tie in really nicely with each other. So that is a change I made there. And then I did add one thing on, and I have got, if it hasn't already come out, then there will be a video coming out on this. But if it has, I will link it here for you. And that is Primary Language Lessons Foundation from My Homeschool. This is an Australian-based Charlotte Mason curriculum. I'm so impressed with it, and you'll hear a lot more about that in the video. I was gonna do the review of it in this video, but there's just so much I want to say about it that I'm doing a whole separate video on it. So I'm doing this with Annie. The lessons are very short and sweet and gentle and lovely. It's lovely. So I'm excited to share more about that. So it kind of sounds like she's doing a lot, but she's not. The lessons are very short, and we kind of pick and choose what we're going to do each day. This we are doing 3 days a week, and it's literally 5 minutes, if that. It's very short. So I have gotten to the point now, I think, in our homeschool, this is our 3rd year that we're doing it, where I feel a lot more confident about skipping things from some worksheets and doing things in others. And I kind of know where my kids are at and what they need to practice. And so I don't feel bad about for Jack and his math. I'll often cross out every second addition problem because I know that he knows how to do it, and I just want him to have a little refresher, So it just, if it's review and I know they've got the concept, I don't feel bad about skipping some of it, because I don't want to drill and kill and whatever. kill and drill. I don't know which way it goes around. Whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to make them do it for the sake of doing it. Like, there needs to be a purpose for it. And Annie is using Becca's grade 1 handwriting. She's doing very well with that. She's always had very good fine motor skill. And so, yeah, she's just enjoying that. So all their individual stuff is going well. Our group studies have gone really well. We're doing a lot of enrichment style studies this year. And everything is going very good. I have eased back a little bit on the nature study. We were doing a nature walk and activity every week, and it kind of was getting too much. And so I'm cutting that back, and we're just sort of seeing how we go with things. Because we've added some stuff in. So a couple changes that have happened that are very kind of new. Well, one's not so new and one is newer. I enrolled Annie in ballet lessons, and I had been thinking about doing this for like a couple years, and just I hadn't pulled the trigger on it yet. And part of it was because of all the rules and regulations that are currently everywhere in the world. And they were chopping and changing so much. I didn't want her to enroll her in something and then have to pull her out all the time. And like, it was just, I wanted there to be consistency. So I inquired at the beginning of the year and was happy with everything, and so I decided to enroll her, and she is just loving it. It's just 1 hour a week. It's very easy. I can drop her off. In fact, parents aren't actually even allowed to stay because they were too much of a distraction in the class. We can come at the end of term and watch it, and she just loves it, and her teacher is so sweet and kind and just lovely. So that is something we've added in for Annie. Jack is doing piano, and I don't know if I mentioned this in his curriculum video or not. I hadn't quite decided what I was doing with him, but he's doing Hoffman Academy, which is very well recommended in a lot of homeschool groups. I actually am a pianist myself, and so I could technically teach him. I used to teach piano years ago, but sorry, there is like a fly that keeps flying in my face. I wanted one less thing on my plate. I'm already very busy with homeschooling the kids and running a business and managing a home, and like it's a lot as it is. And so I decided to go ahead and enroll him in Hoffman Academy. I paid for the premium subscription because I wanted to do it all the way. And then I'm just there as like backup to just reinforce the things that he's learning. And if he has any questions or struggles, then I can go ahead and help him with that. So that's working out very well. It's also a lot cheaper than paying for weekly piano lessons. Perhaps if I were not a pianist myself, I would feel differently about having like in-person piano lessons, but because I can be there to help and just make sure all the bases are covered, I don't feel a need to have him in person, going to somebody. So it's 30 New Zealand dollars a month. I don't know what it is in US. I can't remember what it is because that's just what I convert. It's probably a little less than $30, but that's what I put aside every month for it, which is a lot cheaper than him going to formal piano lessons. So he's really enjoying that. He enjoys Hoffman Academy and the way that they teach. So that's brilliant. And then the other thing that actually caused me to rejig our whole schedule a wee bit is that we have started meeting up with a homeschool group on a Tuesday. So this is actually very new. As is the case with a lot of places around the world now, there are a lot more homeschoolers. And the group here where I live locally has like grown exponentially over the last year especially. And so there's a whole lot of new faces, and I just felt like we were at a stage, my kids were getting to a stage where they're older, that it's a lot easier to get in the car and go places. We don't have naps that we're having to work around so much anymore. And so we decided to go ahead and join in. I think I'm the only person who has been homeschooling for like any length of time though. Everybody else seems to be like brand new, but they all for one reason or another have been thinking about doing this for a while, and so we're kind of still all in the same mindset. And it's exciting to grow together and learn together, and yeah, it's really great. My kids have met some wonderful kids. It's huge. So there's so many homeschoolers in the area now that it's kind of broken up into a few different groups just for when times suit people. And so we're doing like a Tuesday morning, and we're not doing anything formal at this stage. We just meet up and chat and get to know each other. We might add in like formal stuff as time goes on, but we just really wanted to get to know each other first. And so I think when we met up last time, there were like upwards of 20 children. of all different ages. I think the oldest kid is probably like 10. I don't think there's anyone that much older than that there that I can think of off the top of my head. I might be incorrect, but I think that's about the age like cap there. Not that we formally capped it, but just like that's the age of kids we have. And then we go all the way down to like little tiny babies. So I have met some amazing homeschool moms, and I am very excited because that's something that I have been praying for years, is to find a community like that to be engaged in and to just get to know. Something I've really, really had as my heart's desire. And so this is exciting for me. Yeah, it's really exciting. So it'll be great to see how that goes throughout the year. I did change our schedule so that we're actually really only having 3 days of formal school now. On Tuesdays, I still have a couple of subjects that the older kids are doing. We're not doing any group subjects on Tuesdays, just individual. And I made it as bare minimum as possible because when we've gone and met up with the homeschoolers, we're like there the entire morning and we're exhausted when we get home. So no one's really in the mood to sit down and do bookwork after that. But my kiddos have like a couple things so they can get those done before we go and meet up with people. And then we can just have a fun social day with other people. And it's just going to be great. So that's a big blessing. I'm hoping we can meet up with him soon. But that brings me to the final thing I was going to talk about, and that is that we got sick at the end of this term, and we got sick with, you know what, the virus that's going around everywhere. So it was, like, it really was not a big deal. Thankfully, I'm very grateful for that because I know it's not like that for everybody. So I don't want to ever come across, I don't know, there's so much division and just people being unkind to each other over this whole subject. And I think people don't leave enough room for nuance with a lot of things in general. But also this, I think that it can, like for us, I'm very grateful it's been a fairly easy road, but I know for other people it's not. Like we know people who have been very, very sick. And so I'm celebrating the fact that we weren't, but also acknowledging the fact that it is not like that for everyone. So I was the first person to get sick, and it was fairly mild for me. It was more like the flu than it was a cold in terms of symptoms, but in severity, it wasn't even close to the real flu. Like I've had the flu, and that was like the flu. When I've had the flu, I'm sick for a solid 2 weeks. This was definitely not like that. I was like in bed for 3 days, and thankful I was able to do that because my husband was home. And then I was pretty much on the mend from there on out. I never got terribly, terribly sick. And then progressively, every single one of my family members got it, which I was actually grateful for, that we all got it at the same time and we could be done and dusted with it and go on living with our lives and not have to be so like hyper paranoid about it. Not that I was super paranoid, but you know what I mean? Like we have immunity now and we can just live life. So that is a blessing. I would say for us, the telltale symptom was very high fevers, especially in my kids, also my husband actually. I didn't really get that, but all of my kids did. Only one of them really struggled with it as far as like responding to medication and just symptoms like feeling really grotty. My other 2 kids were pretty happy through it, honestly, and it only lasted, like the fever was probably like 36 hours total, and that wasn't like straight fever the whole time. It was up and down. So we're all recovered and back to life, but it did kind of, the last couple weeks of our school term where we did like bare minimum school because of that, because we were sick. I was grateful that I got sick first, and I had basically recovered by the time my husband came down with it. And so there was always one of us available for the kids and, you know, just keeping the house running and that kind of thing. So, yeah, that was a blessing. So that is how our first term went. And that's why my husband did some schooling with the kids at the end of the term as well, because I was out of action for a couple days. But generally speaking, we're very, very grateful for good health and just a great beginning to the year. So it was a great blessing. And now we're enjoying our week off, and then we will be back in term 2 with just carrying on with what we've got, because I'm really happy with it. And I love the curriculum we're using and the resources. and all that stuff. And I'm just grateful that I get to make these choices for my kids. It's a real big blessing. So thank you for watching. If you have questions for me, leave them down in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer. And I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars,